Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Texas Narcos Podcast. Today I'm very excited to have Michael and Daniel all the way from South Carolina on the show. How y'all guys doing?
Doing pretty good. A little colder than we thought it'd be, but doing good.
Yeah, typically here in Texas we're not known for our cold weather, but I think it was like 20 degrees this morning.
Yeah.
It's probably colder here than it does up where you guys are from.
Yeah, I think the wind was the biggest difference.
Yeah.
It was snowing when we left, barely, but we got down here and that wind, as soon as we got off the airplane, pretty much cut us in half.
Yeah, you guys had a long commute getting down here yesterday with all the flight delays and cancellations and, but you made it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And you guys had a good day today out riding with some Interdiction guys out in Fayette County. How was that?
Oh, man, they were awesome. Everybody's been extremely nice, welcoming, bringing us down here.
Yeah.
I know, especially, I speak to both of us when I say we've wanted to come down here for a long time. Especially be out on I-10. That was awesome.
Yeah.
To be able to see that. So we appreciate that for sure.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm trying to get those guys on the show here, hopefully pretty soon. I think it'll be a good episode. So anyhow, let's just jump right in. So why don't you tell us about yourself? Michael, why don't you tell us where you're from, how long you've been doing this, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in South Carolina. I got into law enforcement in 2013. Initially started with a sheriff's office, so it was a bigger agency than I'm with now. And kind of started out on patrol, did 2 or 3 years on patrol. And then I like to give a lot of credit and a shout out to my mentor that kind of got me into what I'm doing now, Donnie Gilbert. He kind of exposed me to interdiction itself, right? Whether it be on the interstate or secondary roads. And he kind of took me under his wing. And like I said, I give credit where credit's due. So if you're listening, Donnie, definitely thank you for that. But that was in 2013, 2015, 16-ish. Started getting interested in interdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing that, or started getting the skills to be successful at doing that. And just continued that up until about 2020. Became a canine handler.
Okay.
Ran a dog for a while. It was an awesome experience. I'm not a real big pet guy, but it was pretty cool using that for the first time. And then got out a little bit after 2020 for 2 years. Went and worked offshore in oil and gas.
Yeah. And
I came back. Real good friends of mine and people that I've looked up to the entire time. Been in law enforcement, are now in a command staff position at different agencies. So that's where I'm at now.
Okay. What kind of stuff do you like to do on your off time? You like to hunt, fish? You done that kind of stuff?
Not necessarily a big hunter, but I love to bow fish.
Okay.
I like to run and work out. And, this is the basic stuff there. And then sometimes I like to just do nothing at all. Just kind of hang out with the kids.
Just hang out. That's cool. How about you, Daniel?
Oh, man. Back in early 2009, I was working with our county EMS system and decided I just wanted something more. Just to be more of a positive player in the community. A lot of friends in law enforcement started, and in late 2009 was hired on by a small municipal agency.
Okay.
I had great leadership there. My first chief was amazing, put me on a good track, taught me a lot. And then just as you move through the towns, there's just so much opportunity that you have that I feel like some larger agencies, you don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So started really getting into the traffic enforcement, kind of the bread and butter of things, because you may have those nights where you're just sitting on your hands and you just don't want to keep doing that. Started taking some classes, started meeting some really, really great guys. Again, one of the guys that he brought up, Donnie Gilbert, and then David Harrison from a neighboring agency up there. They taught their classes, spoke with us, tried to kind of mentor us, teach us some things, and it was just good times. And I believe 2016, became a canine handler.
Okay.
Got the opportunity to work with this guy here. Just all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
And then about the time that he left and took a break, I moved on to another agency. And it just still just tried to keep the mindset.
Yeah.
Still try to go out there just every day. Just go put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, find it. I've been listening to y'all guys for about a year now. A lot of good stuff out there. And And the big thing is just keep that mindset.
Yeah.
Whatever the day brings, just keep on pushing.
Yeah. Now, when y'all were canine handlers at the same agency, is that right?
Correct.
Back in 2015, 2016?
I think I got my dog around 2019.
Okay. But y'all both had dogs at the same time?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Now, were they dual purpose, or were they just drugs or a tracking bite?
Mine was single purpose animal protection.
Same as mine. Just single purpose narcotics.
Okay. Cool. How was that as far as getting used to having to bring a dog with you every day to work and all the stuff that, because there's a lot of people who are listening that have an interest in becoming a canine, because they think it's cool to have a dog. But a lot of people don't think about all the extra stuff that goes into that. Mm-hmm. Is that something to think about when you want to get into that?
That is a huge thing to think about.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everybody thinks it's just so cool to have a dog. I'm a canine handler. That's cool, but it's not just a title.
Right.
It is something you have to do every single day. You train every day, and you go home. Your day don't stop. You don't just go home and take your boots off. You go home and still take care of your partner.
Yeah. That's a good thing to keep in mind for people out there that, are interested in that kind of stuff. So, currently, in y'all's current assignments, are y'all on patrol? Are y'all like a dedicated interdiction unit, or kind of what do y'all do on a day-to-day basis as far as at your current jobs?
Yeah, so for me, I'm currently assigned as a supervisor or sergeant over uniform patrol.
Okay.
Within that time, we also work interdiction, whether it be on side roads or highway interdiction.
Okay.
There's basically on my days off, we have it set up to where I can come in and work highway interdiction there. But my full-time responsibility, like I said, is just being a supervisor of uniform.
I got you. What about you?
Third shift patrol.
Okay. So that's overnights, I guess?
Yeah. 5:30 to 5:30 A.
Okay.
I'm also a driving instructor, DUI instructor for the state of South Carolina.
Okay.
So I do try to focus a lot of my nighttime activities along with just normal patrol duties.
Yeah.
Try to focus that heavy on traffic.
Right. So you guys have to juggle between answering calls and being proactive at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's a big thing. I know a lot of the people who listen, they would love to be on a full-time interdiction team, right? But there's probably a very small percentage of people that actually get that opportunity. So there's a lot of people out there that have to worry or that have to try to figure out a way to juggle calls for service and being proactive at the same time. Is there anything that you guys can talk about, on some strategies or things that y'all were able to do or are able to do to try to juggle? Because you don't want to be the guy on your shift where, there's calls holding and your buddy, is having to take calls in your beat because you just hit a load or you just, what I'm saying? Like there's like, you don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, you don't want to just be a slave to the radio either.
Correct.
Yeah. So is there some kind of a sweet spot that y'all found that?
I think for me, the biggest thing is just getting keeping myself motivated, but because I love what I do. Like to me, I know it sounds cliche, but there's no better feeling in the world going out there than actually stopping something before it happens or catching them in the middle of something.
Yeah.
Right? And just leading by example with that, because and I know this is kind of going around the question a little bit, but we all have been a part of either a team or an agency to where people say that they want you to go do this or they want you to go do that.
Yeah.
But they're asking you to do things that they've never done before.
Right.
I've always been real big. I learned by doing, and 100% made it to where I'm not ever going to ask anybody to do something I hadn't done. But to be able to juggle that, like if you're having problems with property crimes, right, car break-ins, if you tell your guys or you get your guys, again, lead by example, you go out there and do it yourself, you're getting out with suspicious people. Right. You're getting out with these, cars. That crime starts, it's deterring crime, right? Yeah. Or you're catching them in the middle of it. And just being proactive, having those blue lights on, being out talking to people, doing it in a professional, legal manner. But being out there, being seen, right? There's a lot of people that will talk about, well, we've got the call volumes this or call volumes that. Well, the call volume, whether it be Rex or, everybody's going to have the one-off call, but it directly correlates, in my opinion, on how much you're being out there in the community being seen.
Right. And as long as you've got a good admin that's going to back you and encourage you to be out there, and be proactive. I know I'm sure agencies all over the country, there's people in supervisory positions that think, okay, I've arrived now. I don't have to do nothing but sit here and listen to the radio and, step out on calls every now and then. But to have a supervisor, a sergeant that actually gets out and is proactive, I think, it's hard to be a guy on the shift that doesn't want to do anything when your boss is out there making 10 traffic stops a night, getting dope, putting bad guys away. So that's a good thing, is to have a supervisor that is going to lead, by example. I think that's important.
And for me, it goes without saying, like, I'm backed by our command staff. They know what I expect. That's what I expect them to be out there doing as well. And really, like, if that ever changed, right? Like, because we've all also been, I've been to different agencies, right? But when that mentality shifts from public safety being priority number one to being more of a responsive unit, then I'll go home. I'll pack my stuff up. Yeah. And I don't expect anybody else to do that either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. I don't know what the culture is out there where you guys are at, as far as the public perception of police. I don't know. Is it pretty pro-police area? Do people still like the police out there, or is it?
I would say for the most part,
yeah,
people appreciate what we do.
Yeah,
it like anywhere across the country, it goes in waves. But again, they understand what we're doing. Because we do. We're extremely proactive. There's a lot of traffic stops, a lot of getting out with people, talking to them. We serve a lot of warrants, chase a lot of cars, put a lot of people in jail, and the public sees that.
That's good. So I guess your agency is good with car chases, huh?
Yes.
That's good. That's you don't see that too often anymore, especially in a PD. That's starting to become a thing of the past where, go get them.
But in my opinion, right? Like, I'm not speaking for the agency here, but I think they're pretty much in agreement. If you allow that kind of activity to go, undeterred in any way, right? Like, it spreads.
Yeah.
And it may be, you're not going out here and just Wild West and it, right? Like, right. We've got pursuit policies, we've got pit policies, stop sticks, all kinds of other stuff. But, if you run, if you break the law, you do get held accountable.
Yeah, that's good. I know there's lots of agencies. Well, without being real specific, there's certain large municipal agencies here in Texas that are known to not that they're not going to chase you.
Yeah,
and so people will take off running, and then if they look in the mirror and they see it's Texas Highway Patrol, they're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
well, they're going to get me now. Yeah. They know, and on our end, on like a drug enforcement end, where a lot of times if we're going to stop a car and we know they're going to run, we will most definitely, ask the troopers or somebody that's going to, that is going to chase them, because, we don't want it to get away. So, but that's cool. We'll kind of transition off into a different topic here. You talked earlier about you worked up until 2020, and then you took a break for a couple of years. I understand that you were involved in an accident. Do you want to kind of talk about that and tell us what happened with that and kind of how that affected your career and your outlook on law enforcement?
Yeah. So it was right at the beginning of COVID. It was 2020. Like, do you remember what month?
January 7th.
Okay, so January 7th of 2020. I had stopped a car. So we were working Interstate 85 corridor. I had stopped a car southbound. And same stop I'd made hundreds of times, right? Always real careful to in position and everything else. But this one, so in South Carolina, we always pull to the right. I know some places they'll stop in the fast lane, or there's a median to the left there, but we always get them to pull up to the right. Well, this car had stopped in the number one lane, right? So that was the first indicator something was going on. So I go up, tell him to move. We get over to the side of the road. This is a young cat. Car smelled marijuana. I was going to conduct a search of it. Really just fast forward, doing normal business. Same thing we had done dozens, hundreds of times. And this is kind of why, like, thinking back to it, never seen it, never heard it. And I'm always like situationally aware. but it only takes that split second. But so I was on the passenger side, and I was knelt down, and I believe I'd found just Adderall or amphetamines or something like that. And I was talking to him because he's got medical experience as well, and I was like, man, it's this Adderall. Just kind of conversing about it. And no sooner than I said that, it was like the entire car just exploded.
Right.
That we were inside. He was on the driver's side. I'll let him tell you about that. But I was on the passenger side. I was talking to him. Everything was normal. Never heard anything coming. There's nothing really. And out of nowhere, the car explodes. I get launched. My biggest fear was when I finally did land. I was like, please, God, just don't let me be paralyzed. And I remember like moving my feet, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm good here.
Yeah.
I got up, go back around the back side of the car because I didn't see him. And what I'd come to realize is when I stood up, I saw that the driver's side rear quarter panel was pushed in. So somebody had hit us. Somebody had hit us, but I didn't see the car. I mean, there was car parts and everything everywhere, but I didn't see him. I didn't see the car. So I go over, I see he's like knelt down, almost not in a prone position, but just kind of on like his hands and knees at the driver's side, and kind of out of it and stuff. So we get him moved over, and somehow the dude that was out there with us, he had fell or hurt his knee or something too. So it was me, him, and then that guy was standing with the suspect in front of, I believe, my car.
Mm-hmm.
And then get him moved over. This time, highway's kind of shutting down. Fire department's coming out there. We call on the radio, tell them we've just been hit. Our dispatchers at that time, I mean, you got to give them a little bit of credit. I know we like to pick at each other, but they did do a good job that day because it wasn't long. Some people from surrounding agencies had got there to us. And by the time the fire department and other police had showed up, the car that hit him, we saw the dude walking back up, and he was an older gentleman, but my first thought was it was a drunk driver, just a drunk driver that hit us.
Yeah.
So we get transported down to the hospital. The dude, the car we were searching, thank God he wasn't inside of it. So he was unhurt. His car was totaled for sure.
Yeah.
And then once we're down to the hospital, we're getting treated there. Come to find out that the guy that had hit us was, flying. I can't remember the exact speeds. And like I said, I'll turn it over to him in a second. But the guy was suffering some sort of mental condition, or he had dementia or something, and was missing out of North Carolina, like entered into NCIC, is missing out of North Carolina. And I guess the lights, he had saw them when we come, because we run all blue lights, but he had saw those blue lights, and I guess it just drifted toward that moth to a flame effect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what had happened there.
Wow. And so the guy that hit y'all hit the Violator's car, or did he hit y'all's unit first and then?
He struck my vehicle first.
Okay. And so you were the car that was right behind his?
I was third one behind the Violator.
Okay.
When I pulled up, I knew it was pipeline stop, so I was probably going to run the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled up. As soon as I pulled up, first thing I noticed is that the Violator had white line officer Hubbard. So it just kind of put me on this little edge. So I actually drove onto the edge of the ditch and pulled back out to the white line just to give that extra protection and keep traffic off of us, hopefully. And when he was talking about just all of a sudden he got launched across the shoulder, I was down on my right hand and had looked between the console and the driver's seat, and he was asking me about those pills, and I just heard plastic pop. I'm like, dang, that's a wreck. So I hopped in on my knees real quick, grabbed the headrest, and went to look out the back window, and that's when the car we were searching, the Violator's car, got hit.
Oh, so the first noise you heard was your car getting hit.
Car.
Okay. And then the second was it hitting you?
Yes.
Okay. And so y'all were both basically almost in the car when it got hit?
Yeah, he was leaned up inside the passenger front rocker panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right there.
And you were in the driver's side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you have a dog in the car at the time?
Yes. I'd actually ran my dog and just put him back in and came back up to search.
Okay.
And he was, I think he was heading to the driver's side. I said, well, I'm over here. I'll just go ahead and search this side.
Mm-hmm.
And within 45 seconds getting that dog put up,
wow,
it was like it exploded.
Was the dog okay or?
No.
No.
He did live.
Okay.
Some brain injuries.
Oh, wow.
It was a full backseat cage in a Charger.
Oh, wow.
So, it totaled my car.
Mm-hmm.
the whole front end had to be completely rebuilt.
Wow.
So he took a hard hit.
Wow. And did he ever come back to duty after that, or did he retire?
They ended up retiring him.
Wow, man, dang. So so both y'all get hit. Y'all, what kind of injuries did you guys have after that?
Believe it or not, I consider myself pretty lucky because I just had a concussion and I had like some extreme swelling in the spinal column.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a headache, but it was from the concussion. I know that now, but I had a headache that lasted what seemed like a month.
Yeah.
They did scans. They didn't have to do any kind of surgeries or nothing else. And like I said, I was just glad to be all right from them.
Yeah. How about you? Were you injured?
Yeah, left eye. Some major retinal detachment.
Oh wow.
Severe concussion.
Dang.
And left eardrum ruptured.
Wow. Dang. Well, I mean, I'm glad y'all were able to walk away from it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, what are some takeaways that you, looking back on it now, things that you could have done different, or that you wish you would have done different, or things that you can tell other people to be aware of? Or, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you were already planning ahead, by having your vehicle positioned a certain way. Is there anything else that you think that people ought to be aware of, or as far as trying to protect themselves on the side of the road?
I definitely think the positioning of the cars. I think that's a good thing. Making sure that there's enough space between them, not getting too bringing the vehicles too close together. I think that's a good one. And then again, I'm a big proponent of passenger side approaches.
Right. Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, man, I've played back the video a million times. I've watched everything a million times. And like, I know they say there's no such thing as accidents, or like everything's avoidable.
Right.
But that one, I'm really hard pressed to see something that we had done in that. But definitely, I mean, always keeping your head on a swivel, staying vigilant. Yeah. And I do think part of it too was just being able to admit that complacency. I mean, they say it forever. Complacency kills, and it was one of those things where you do it so much, and you always think, "Well, that happens over here. That happens over there."
Yeah.
It's never going to happen to me, and that's just not true, because you can't really beat yourself up too much over it, but you have to learn from it, and it can happen to anybody. And again, I mean, giving as much respect and praise as I possibly can, but not even, it's nowhere near this situation I'm about to talk about is a million times worse than what we were involved in. But it was in October the same year that jumper.
Yeah.
So a similar situation, but this one was intentional, right? Unfortunately, we lost a really good, not only interdiction officer, but just a general human being.
Yeah.
Their life was cut short after a stellar career. I mean, one of the dudes that would just like give the shirt off for their back to anybody. Definitely helped me out as far, and this was, he was a rock star in the parcel interdiction world too. And that was the first person I met that was like that.
Yeah.
And I had worked with him in like joint operations in the lower part of the state.
Yeah.
But man, just one of the nicest human beings you can meet. But it does. And that just kind of makes you think back to it. And it's like, man, anything can happen at any moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're not guaranteed your next breath, really. I mean, it sounds like you positioning your car in the back the way you did probably helped things out, because it sounds like the guy hit your car first, and then when he hit the car that you guys were searching, that was a secondary impact, right?
Yeah. He when he struck my vehicle, according to Highway Patrol, he made it out into lane 2. It's a 3-lane interstate, so the middle lane, and then just recorrected again, or damage from his vehicle brought him back in on that secondary collision.
So it was a secondary impact, which I would assume would be not as much of an impact as the initial impact. Like if he would have hit the vehicle that you guys were searching initially as the primary impact, it probably would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, because he still hit that one at like 75, 80 miles an hour on secondary.
Yeah.
Well, again, you're kind of being drawn in on searching that car. You just know exactly where you go to, your quick searches, and then go back and just methodically go through. Well, even being tuned in on that, I mean, just thank God that I heard that initial collision. Because if from where I was standing, because my feet were on the white line.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that car was struck, if I wouldn't have jumped in the vehicle to look and see what had happened, I mean, I would have at the least probably lost my legs and not just been killed.
Wow. Man, that's amazing that you guys were able to walk away from that with his, with the injuries that you did and not, anything worse. So, how did that affect you on more of a emotional level? That is that the reason why you got out back in 2020, or?
No, I wish I could say that it was, but the reason it made me get out was I saw the way, like, it really made me kind of question what if, right? Mm-hmm. Or not what if, but really look back at what I'd done. Like, when I say that I love everything about this job, like, I truly do, but I'm only in it to put the worst of the worst in jail.
Right.
I know it takes all types, right, to make the world go round as far as law enforcement goes. But I have dedicated my entire adult life to doing this, much like everybody, a lot of people that are listening to this will or have. But man, it's just been, to me at the time, it was just setback after setback after setback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you try so hard to go out there and accomplish something.
Yeah.
And nothing motivates me more than when people tell you can't do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to make me go out there that much harder and try to do it. And I just kind of saw, I was like, man, it did. And really, if I'm being honest with myself, it kind of just made me really have a pity party, because I was like, what am I doing this for? Right. At the time, the money sucked. I was like, I'm coming out here every day. I'm doing stuff. I'm making the same, if not less, than people are coming out and just doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I just, if answering a call, they answer a call, or they try to gaff it off and give it to somebody else. And I'm just like, man, this is not what it needs to be. And in my brain, I just physically cannot comprehend why, if you go to work every day and you put a badge, which is ultimately just a huge target on your chest, and you carry a gun and you tell people that you're going to go out here and do things, and then you don't do them, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
And all honesty, it just pissed me off. I was like, man, I could have gave everything up, right? Like, my kids weren't going to see me again. My wife wouldn't see me again. And I was just like, is it even worth it?
Yeah.
And at that time, I just came to the decision. It's like, I've done nothing but try my best to be as best and successful at this as I can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the response too, after it happened, I was not very pleased with.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't really, are you okay? And I'm not talking about the people that first responded, right? Like the firefighters and other agencies and stuff that showed up. They were great. They were jam up. But it was more like the internal stuff, if you will. It was more like they were more concerned of what my actions were going to be afterwards. Really, ultimately, were they going to get sued or not?
Right.
I was like, that's what you're worried about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I've talked about on the podcast here before, is people that put their heart and soul into their jobs for 20, 30 years, right? And they give everything they got, and they base their whole world, their whole identity, everything on this job. And then in the blink of an eye, it can be over because of either an injury or whatever. And your department is going to have your position already filled by the time your last paycheck hits.
For sure.
They're going to move on, and it's you really got to be able to focus on the people at home that are still going to be there after this ride's over. I've used the analogy in the past, like you're on a train, right? You're on a train ride for 20 years, and when the train stops and it's time to get off, the people that are on the station waiting for you is your family. If you don't know who they are because you ignored them for the last 20 years because you put everything into your job, they're the ones that you're going to be with for the next 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? So, that's, you get hurt on the job, and they're not looking out for you, the person. They're looking at you as a number, and, which is, it's sad. And it's not like that everywhere, but that's definitely a thing to be concerned about. So coming out of that, You went out and did some offshore stuff?
Yeah. So during that 2015, 2016, when I got real heavy into just trying to be the best all around at interdiction, especially highway interdiction that I could be, nobody in my family had ever been a cop before. It's just a real big like truck driving family.
Yeah.
So by trade, I didn't want to be a truck driver, but I had always been a mechanic. Well, doing that, I'd heard of the oil field, right?
Yeah.
Never known anybody that done that either. So I had my CDL. I got out, did a little time out in Midland and Odessa, driving, hauling water. But then I got the opportunity to work offshore with obviously a different company. So I took that, man, and I started out working in the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America now, I guess.
Yeah. And
then working out in the North Sea.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And it worked out good too, because man, the biggest thing was I'm the type of person that I'm really goal oriented, but I also have to be constantly challenging myself with something. And I really felt like I had just gotten too far away from like who I truly was, right? Yeah. Like I needed some time, not time away from my family, right? Like that sucks, always being away from your kids. But I knew in order for me to like get my head right, and because I just started eating bad, kind of let myself go, stopped going to the gym. Nothing was really making me happy. Like going through that whole cycle there and being able to be like, all right, I need to go do something difficult, right? Like that's where you learn the most. And so I did, man. I went out to, like I said, West Texas, that sucks. It's just rough. So hats off to anybody out there. But when I went offshore, man, that's a whole different animal, right? Yeah. Like, it did. So, but it worked out good because it was 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. And I didn't really have any skills that they needed offshore. So I just started at the bottom. I was aroused about.
Yeah.
And man, it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done before. Everybody's the same. Like you just go out there and work and grind it out. And that's just the type of mentality that I have. And it sounds almost sadistic in a way, but like that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And I did. So it was right at about a year and a half after that. Really just tried to make myself not only how I used to be, I guess you would say, but better.
Right.
And that's what I did. And like I said, so I attribute pretty much everything that I do to my faith, right? Like I'm not trying to push religion on anybody else or nothing, but I am a Christian, and I know without a doubt that I would not have been able to, number one, come back from that, and then number two, be successful, in my opinion, right? And that's the only person I can speak on in what I have done. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually going to be my next question is how did your faith help you to be able to get through this process, get through the accident, the injury, giving it up, and then ultimately coming back and getting back on the horse? How did your faith help you in that?
Yeah. So it did. I mean, and I think, in my opinion, God uses the craziest things to try to teach you a lesson. And the car accident was no different, right? And it wasn't about the car accident. It was more about what was behind it. And there was no way, like I was trying to do things my way and it wasn't working, right? But it did. I was just like, man, I'm gonna get back to doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And just leave it in His hands. And then what I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things where I'd messed up, was allowing negativity to kind of seep in as well.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it be supervisors or people that you would work with. Like I don't have time for that. And a lot of people kind of, they can call it what they want to, but I don't have time for it. Either you want to go out here and get it and grind it out, or just go home. Like I don't care to waste my time. If you're not trying to better yourself and do what's right and what you signed up for, then I don't.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's a big thing that I talk about with a lot of people. I've talked to a few people that have been on the show about it. Is how do you deal with, especially if you're working in a department where you're not on a full-time team and you're on patrol and you're trying to get out there and be proactive and stuff. How do you deal with the negative people on your shift and around you that are going to, try to talk down to you about you doing this or doing that? Because I've seen that a lot in the agencies where the people that are out there hustling, the other guys kind of talk crap about them. And, it's like, oh, you shouldn't be out there trying to do all that. You're just trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I think part of it is because they're jealous that they're not successful, or they used to be that way, but now they're not, so how would you say to deal with those guys that are out there that aren't, positive?
And so, I mean, you said it perfectly. Like at the end of the day, if something happens, you really are just a number. Like we can dress it up however we want to. It's like we're all family and everything else. But at the end of the day, if you retire today, or if something terrible happens to you before the end of that business week, your job will be reposted.
Yeah.
People are going to say what they want to, whether they support you or think negative of you. It doesn't matter. If you know that you're giving it everything that you got, people are going to talk. And for me, and it's just the way that it is. But like I said, the more you say that I can't do something, or the more that you say like it's a waste of time, or you just try to talk negative. I've heard nothing but negativity from, I'd say 85% of the people when I first started trying to do this.
Yeah.
And like, again, I'm not one of those. I'm not going to sit there and waste my energy arguing with you because number one, it's an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody thinks that they're getting shown up by somebody with less years, that does something to people, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And everybody that I try to surround myself with, I want them to have that same mentality.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, if you get around a bunch of negative people, all it's going to do is drag you down if you let it.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to stand up and get out there and work and hustle and do what you need to do. So how was getting back in the car the first time, coming back from something like that, getting back in the groove of things? How was that?
For me, it was kind of weird. Just for the simple fact, I was like, man, because it's always in the back of your head, right? Like anybody can say whether they've been involved in a shooting, like real bad use of force, or something like that. It's always in the back of your head. It's like, I know this can happen now, but for me, you just got to face it, right? Like you can't kind of just slide your way in there, man. You just got to for me, I just had to throw myself back in there into it.
And Daniel, on your end, I mean, so you didn't take a break during this time. You stayed. I guess you switched agencies at some point.
And as soon as I was medically cleared, there was some of that support you expect to have may not always be there.
Yeah,
and it was just time to move on.
Okay.
Just more of a rural agency.
Yeah.
Really was done with the whole hustle.
Yeah.
I was done with just getting out there and just, shouldering cars all day long, just looking for it. I wanted to ride around, answer a couple calls, and go home.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And about 8 months after I went to that other agency, the chief had come to me and had blessed me with a great promotion. And then goes, hey, guess what? We're getting you a dog.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I don't know. So we talked about it over the course of weeks and decided to run with it.
Yeah.
Had another good 2-year run, so 6 years total as a handler. Had a great run with that second dog, and just slowly realized that what I'd done is kind of sold my soul to the machine.
Yeah.
At that previous agency, it was always about, I've got to do this training. I've got to be here. If I'm not there, they're not going to know who I am. If I'm not there, the 3 people trying to cut my throat are going to succeed.
Yeah.
And, just kind of realizing that, you don't want to turn your back on your family because, just like Michael was saying, at the end of the day, when you get home, that's what you have.
Yeah.
The people at work, they may think fond of you, they may not, but their opinion truly don't matter. So I got back to just good roots with my family, got to spending time with them all the time again. And even what I do now, I enjoy it, but work's work.
Yeah.
10 minutes after I get off, it turns into family time.
Yeah.
But still, the first few cars I stopped, I remember standing there and all I could think about was, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you hear car tires coming up behind you on that asphalt, the driver could have easily pulled a gun out and stuck it in my face, and I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, yeah.
Just come back and just you get thrown off the horse, get back on it.
Yeah.
And it just took weeks and weeks of just busting out traffic stops when I finally got my mind right about it.
Yeah.
And one of the first solid traffic stops I made was trafficking heroin and possession with intent on methamphetamine.
That's awesome.
So it just, and then from there, just came back at it. Got a new breath of fresh air and just kept on pushing through.
That's awesome. Just getting back after it. And, like I said, I mean, once you start doing this and you enjoy doing it, it gets in your blood and it's all you want to do, when it comes to work. Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I'm not going to go work in an office or I'm not going to go be a, whatever kind of job, like once you get the bug for it, it's pretty much, what you're going to do. Unless it's not, and if it's not, then, hey, it might be time to move on and do something else. So, so what type of, we'll kind of change gears again here a little bit. What type of drug trends are you guys seeing up there in South Carolina as far as on the highways that y'all work? Y'all seeing a lot of meth, cocaine, heroin, that kind of stuff? Or is the fentanyl making a big...
So fentanyl it started making its way up there. I mean, it's been up there, but it's a lot more prevalent now than what it was. But meth, like I said, meth still ranks number one in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so cheap. You know what I mean? Like, we're right between Atlanta and New York. And they absolutely tear that up, getting up and down through there.
And y'all seeing the bricks on the highway, or y'all seeing it like in town too, or
it's
kind of both?
It's in town on the highway. I mean, and it's everybody. It's not, again, there's no specific person that you can look at and be like, oh, that's a drug smuggler. I mean, the last one that we got, that female, how old was she?
She wasn't old.
Yeah, no, she was like mid-20s, and she had 3 keys of meth. Like, I mean, it was still wet.
Yeah.
And she was going back up to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's Indian everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing too. What you asked earlier about how does the public perceive that? They're not dumb, right? Like, it is kind of aggravating. You see different agencies will get up there and talk about, we rescued some cats out of a tree and stuff, you know what I mean? Or like, that's part of it, yes. But those same people, you're responding to overdoses that their loved ones have either overdosed and were able to be brought back or died. Kids are getting into it. I mean, right now, our biggest problem, South Carolina's violent crime wise is a pretty violent place. But now it's the juveniles, like juveniles in gangs.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity that you've got to go out there and like show like, hey, we know this is a problem and we are stopping it or attempting to stop it.
Right.
But yeah, all of our stuff, I'd say number one for sure is meth. And it's all, it's your traditional north and south, right? All the drugs are running up northbound, money's coming back south. Now, granted, there's anomalies there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how that's working.
Was there anything that y'all noticed today during your time on I-10 that you think would be helpful, or like a kind of a contrast to what y'all are seeing up there? Or, was there, any kind of takeaways that y'all saw that was different down here than y'all are seeing, or pretty much the same kind of?
I think so. We see a lot of Texas plated vehicles. Most of them are rentals, but we do get a lot of Texas traffic up there as well. But we have a lot better understanding now as far as the way the county system is broken up down here, like the areas. Obviously, everybody knows the valley.
Yeah.
Right? But then just the different counties as far as being near San Antonio, Houston, Dallas.
Yeah.
That made a lot more sense today. And these dudes down here, like all of y'all just absolutely kill it, right? And it definitely helped just to kind of see that. It wasn't so much anything super crazy. It was just seeing the way that it's business is conducted down here, or how they originate from down towards this area, and then what they're making it up towards ours. And then that was nice, just to kind of see it come full circle.
So I would imagine if I was trying to go to North Carolina and I was leaving Houston with kilos, and I'd have to go through Atlanta probably, and then I'd have to come through y'all to get up to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 2 different ways. I guess you could go up through 20 to 95, but yeah, if you're leaving from Atlanta trying to get to Charlotte, your fastest route's going to be 85.
Okay. Because I know there's a lot of North Carolina's been hot on the now this is a few years ago, but we used to key in on cars out of North Carolina down here because there was a lot of traffic between North Carolina and here.
Yeah.
With people coming down here to pick up their dope and bringing it back up there. I don't know why it's just specifically, but the North Carolina was hot there for a while, and I was just curious if they had to go through y'all to get there. So
yeah, because Charlotte, they come straight southbound. I mean, Charlotte's what, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from us.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, I enjoyed it. Anything else you guys want to tell the listeners out there?
No, just we appreciate you letting us on here, but at the same time, like if there is somebody listening out there that's kind of going through that kind of rough spot as far as in their career and thinking it's not worth it, man, you can't quit. Don't give up because somebody doesn't think that you can do something. Like the biggest way to prove them wrong is just go out there and do it.
Yeah,
like it may take you paying out of pocket to go to classes. It may take you coming out of pocket to go to different agencies to see training. I mean, let's just be real. It is what it is. There's police officers needed everywhere. At the end of the day, you may just need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
I'm saying you are your own worst enemy, or you're your best cheerleader.
Yeah.
It is all on you at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's good. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Glad y'all came all the way down here. I hope y'all enjoyed your stay in Texas. And until next time, we'll see y'all down the road on Texas Narcos. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Texas Narcos Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, share our podcast with your friends and family. You can find Texas Narcos Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Your continued support helps us to bring you stories like the one you just heard. Thank you, God bless, and we'll see you down the road on Texas Narcos.